I've been married to my wife, Jenna, for almost 10 years. We're both 35 now, settled, stable, predictable in all the boring but comforting ways. And her younger sister, Arya, 23, has always been just family. A kid who grew up, went to college, visited on holidays, teased me like an older brother. Nothing strange. Nothing blurry. At least, that's how it used to be. The day everything shifted started completely ordinary. Jenna had a business trip out of town, and Arya needed to stop by our place to pick up a suitcase she'd left after a weekend visit. I wasn't expecting anything unusual. Just a quick hello, grab the bag, and she's gone. But when I opened the door, something felt different. Arya stood there, dressed a little nicer than usual, not flashy, just intentional. Her eyes lingered on me a second longer than normal, and I swear the air tightened between us. "Hey," she said softly, stepping inside. "You're alone, right?" A normal question. But it didn't feel normal. I told myself I was imagining it. That I was tired. That nothing was happening. But then she walked past me, close enough that her shoulder brushed mine even though the hallway was wide open. Not an accident. Not this time. She smiled, slow and knowing. Almost like she was seeing me differently. Or like she wanted me to see her differently. And for the first time, I felt something I had no right to feel, a spark of awareness. A pull I immediately tried to shut down. This wasn't a child. She wasn't a teenager. She was a grown woman. But still, she was my wife's sister. I kept telling myself nothing was happening. Nothing was changing. But I knew the truth the moment she turned around with that suitcase, hesitated, and looked at me, really looked. Something had already started. And I wasn't ready for what it would turn into. After Arya left with her suitcase, I tried to shake off the feeling. I told myself I was being dramatic, misreading basic human interaction because Jenna wasn't home and the house felt too quiet. But that night, lying in bed alone, I kept replaying the moment she brushed past me. The way she lingered. The way she looked at me like she was searching for something I wasn't supposed to give. By morning, I convinced myself it was all in my head. Until Arya texted. "Thanks for helping yesterday, you looked different." Different? I stared at those words way longer than I should have. Before I could even respond, she sent another message. "Hope I didn't make things weird." So she knew there was tension. She felt it too. And suddenly, ignoring it didn't feel like an option anymore. 2 days later, Arya showed up again, this time unannounced. She claimed she forgot her coat at our place. But when she stepped inside, she wasn't looking for a coat. She was looking at me. Her gaze moved slower, more deliberate. And when I asked if she needed help finding it, she laughed softly. "I'm not helpless, you know. You don't have to save me." It was such a strange comment. Loaded. Suggestive in a way that made my pulse spike. She finally found her coat, hanging in plain sight, right by the door. Meaning she never forgot it at all. Before leaving, she paused and said quietly, "You and Jenna, are you two okay?" The question hit like a punch. How did she know to ask that? After Arya asked that question, it became impossible to pretend everything was normal with Jenna. It was like she pulled a blindfold off my face, and suddenly all the signs I ignored for months stood right in front of me. Jenna wasn't just tired lately, she was absent. Detached. Existing beside me, not with me. We used to talk every night, even if it was just about dumb things like shows or work or dinner plans. Now, half the time, I couldn't even remember the last full conversation we had. She spent more time staring at her phone than looking at me. More time catching up on emails than catching up with her own husband. And the tone. You can hear emotional distance the same way you can hear a door closing behind you. There's a soft click. A shift. A moment where you realize someone isn't choosing you anymore. Not the way they used to. Arya saw it before I did. That part bothered me more than I wanted to admit. The next morning, Her name lit up my phone again. If you ever want to talk about anything, I'm here. She didn't cross a line yet. Not outright. But she was standing dangerously close to it. And the worst part? I was starting to lean toward her side of that line without meaning to. I didn't answer her message. But I didn't delete it either. I just stared at it long enough that I knew I wasn't imagining anything anymore. And then, just as I started questioning my marriage for the first time, something happened that made those questions impossible to ignore. Jenna's laptop was open. She never leaves her laptop open. I swear I only glanced at the screen because the notification popped up right in front of me. I wasn't snooping. Not at first. A message from No last name. No photo. Just the initial. Attached was a selfie. A man around Jenna's age, good-looking, confident, with a smile that said he knew exactly how he looked. Under the photo, "Miss our talks." My heart dropped straight into my stomach. Talks? Plural. As in, ongoing conversations. Ongoing meetings? I stood there frozen, every thought screaming but my body unable to move. Then another notification popped up. Lunch tomorrow? Same place? Lunch. Again, plural. My hands started to shake. I closed the laptop, walked away, sat down on the couch. Then stood up. Then sat again. My head felt like it was filled with static. Was she cheating? Was it emotional? Was it worse? And the worst thought hit me hard. Had it been happening long enough that everyone but me saw it? Aria's question echoed in my mind. Are you two okay? Did she know? Did she see something? I wanted to ask her. I wanted to tell her. I wanted comfort. But I couldn't. Not yet. When Aria called me, her voice sounded gentler than usual, steadier. Like she had been preparing for this moment. You seemed off earlier. Did something happen? I could have lied. I almost did. But silence sometimes tells more truth than words. I didn't say anything. Not about the photo. Not about the message. But she must have heard something in my breathing, in my hesitation, in the way I didn't try to brush it off. Listen, she said quietly. If Jenna is hurting you, if she's hiding things, you don't deserve that. Hearing those words from someone who wasn't my wife felt like pouring warm water over a wound I didn't know I had. Relief mixed with shame. I expected sympathy. I didn't expect what she said next. You're a good man, you know. I mean that. Someone should appreciate that. The softness in her voice, the warmth. It was too much. It was everything Jenna hadn't been giving me for months. Was Aria genuinely worried? Or were her feelings deeper than she let on? I didn't ask. I wasn't ready to hear the answer. That night, when Jenna went to shower, I did something I never imagined myself doing in our entire marriage. I checked her laptop again. It wasn't curiosity, it was survival. My brain couldn't let go of the image of that man. There were no chats, no emails, she hid those well. But I found a folder. A folder with a date from last week. Locked. Simple password. I guessed it in 2 tries. Her birthday. Inside were photos. A lot of them. Pictures of Jenna dressed up, smiling in ways she hadn't smiled around me in months. Pictures of her at bars, at outdoor patios, laughing at someone behind the camera. And in multiple shots, the same man. They looked comfortable. Too comfortable. Her hand wasn't on him. But she wasn't pulling away either. My chest tightened so hard it hurt. Memories of our last few months flashed through my mind. The late nights. The silent dinners. The excuses. The distance. Everything suddenly made sense in the worst possible way. I closed the laptop and sat there in the dark, with only one thought repeating in my mind. I've already lost her, haven't I? Jenna came home late, again. But this time, she didn't even try to hide the smell of a bar on her clothes. When I asked how work was, she gave a tired laugh. Oh, we went out after. Mark said the funniest thing. She froze. Barely. But I saw it. Mark. Her eyes darted to mine, checking if I caught her slip. She tried to recover. He's just a co-worker. You'd like him. Like him? My stomach twisted. She kept talking, rambling about projects, meetings, office jokes, all things she used to share willingly, naturally, openly. But now every word felt staged. Every smile felt forced. Every explanation sounded like a lie wrapped inside a half-truth. And I stood there, nodding, pretending I didn't know. Pretending I hadn't seen the photos. Pretending I wasn't falling apart inside. But one thing stood out. When she talked about Mark, she sounded alive. When she talked to me, she sounded exhausted. And the realization cut deeper than anything else. Maybe I wasn't imagining things between Arya and me. Maybe I was simply starved for affection, and she noticed. When Arya texted asking if she could stop by, just to talk, I hesitated. I knew going was risky. I knew letting her in, emotionally, physically, mentally, was a slippery slope. But I also knew I couldn't keep drowning in silence alone. When she walked through the door, she didn't pretend she forgot something. She didn't dance around the tension anymore. She sat next to me, not too close, but close enough to feel her warmth, and said softly, "You don't deserve to be treated like this." Her voice cracked a little. She cared. Too much. I felt her hand brush against mine. Slow. Gentle. Not by accident. I pulled away instantly, almost too quickly. "Arya, we can't do this." She looked shattered for a moment. Not angry, hurt. "I'm not trying to steal you," she whispered. "I just can't watch you get broken and pretend everything is okay." Her eyes glistened with emotion that scared me. Because I felt something too. Not love. Not desire. But connection, real and terrifying. And then my phone buzzed. Jenna. Calling. The timing couldn't have been worse. Jenna came home in a mood I couldn't read, part defensive, part irritated, part guilty. She dropped her bag, kicked off her shoes, and said, "Don't start. I know I'm late." I hadn't even said a word. She poured herself a drink, something she rarely did on weekdays, and added casually, "Everyone went out again. Mark too. Honestly, he's the only person keeping me sane at work." That last line felt like a knife twisted slow. I asked quietly, "Do you want to talk about us? About what's going on?" She sighed dramatically. "Not everything is about us. Sometimes I just need space." God, why are you making this about you? The irony burned. I wasn't making it about me. She already had. She looked at me then, really looked, and her face softened for a split second, just long enough to make me wonder if there was still something left between us. But it faded fast. She walked past me, went upstairs, and the silence she left behind was heavier than any fight. And for the first time in years, I didn't follow her. The next morning, I woke to a message from an unknown number. "You don't know the full truth about Jenna. Arya does." My breath caught in my throat. Was this a prank? A warning? A threat? I texted back, "Who is this?" No reply. Instead, another message appeared. "Ask Arya what she saw." Saw. Not heard. Not suspected. Saw. I felt sick. What was happening behind my back that even her sister knew about? How long had this been going on? I grabbed my keys and drove to Arya's place, not thinking, just moving. When she opened the door, she looked like she hadn't slept. And the guilt in her eyes told me I wasn't going to like what she had to say. We sat on her couch in silence for a long moment. Finally, she spoke, barely above a whisper. "I didn't want to tell you. I shouldn't have seen it. But I did." My heart thudded painfully. "Seen what?" She swallowed hard. "I saw Jenna with Mark." More than once. Not just talking. Not just laughing. It looked intimate. Too intimate. The world tilted under me. How long? I asked, voice breaking. A couple months, she admitted. Maybe more. I didn't want to get involved. I didn't want you to think I was trying to come between you two. Her voice shook. And I didn't want to lose my sister. Or you. She looked down at her hands. I sent those messages. The anonymous ones. I thought you deserved the truth. Even if it hurt. Part of me felt betrayed. Part of me felt grateful. All of me felt shattered. Because if Arya, the one person who should have defended Jenna, believed she crossed the line, then this wasn't a misunderstanding. It was real. Arya sat close, but not too close. Respecting boundaries. Respecting the heaviness hanging in the room. I'm sorry, she whispered. I never meant to manipulate you. I just didn't know what to do. Watching you fall apart while she pretended everything was fine, it killed me. There was no seduction in her voice now. No heat. Just hurt. The tension between us wasn't sexual anymore. It was emotional, raw, painful. You deserved better from both of us, she said, wiping her eyes. And I didn't want to make things harder. I know my feelings made this mess even worse. Her honesty hit me harder than anything Jenna had done. Because Arya wasn't lying. Not now. Maybe not ever. My chest tightened. I don't know how to feel anymore, I admitted. About Jenna. About you. About everything. She put a trembling hand on my arm. You don't have to decide anything right now. Just breathe. Just let yourself feel what you feel. Before I could respond, before I could sort through the chaos inside me, my phone buzzed again. Jenna. Jenna showed up at Arya's place 15 minutes after calling me. She must have driven like a maniac. The second she stepped inside and saw us sitting on opposite ends of the couch, her expression twisted. Anger, fear, jealousy, betrayal, all mixed into something sharp and ugly. So this is where you ran off to? She spat. I should have known. I stood quickly. This isn't what it looks like. Oh really? She snapped. Then what is it? Therapy? Bonding? Emotional cheating while accusing me of something I didn't even do? Arya stepped forward, furious. Don't you dare twist this, Jenna. I saw you with Mark. I saw what you did. Jenna paled. You had no right to follow me, she hissed. I had every right when you were lying to him. Arya shouted back. The room erupted into a storm, years of resentment between them exploding at once. Then Jenna turned to me, trembling. Fine. Yes. I messed up. I made mistakes. But I'm not the only one playing games here. She pointed at Arya. Tell him the rest. Tell him why you were so interested in our marriage falling apart. Arya's face strained of color. And in that moment I realized. There was one more truth I hadn't heard yet. Arya's voice cracked. I wasn't trying to destroy your marriage. I swear. But yes. I had feelings. I tried to ignore them. I tried to bury them. But watching you hurt him, watching him fall apart, I couldn't stay silent. Jenna's eyes filled with tears, angry ones. So you admit it. You wanted him. Arya shook her head desperately. I didn't want him. I cared about him. There's a difference. She looked at me then, really looked. And I still do. My chest tightened painfully. Jenna whispered. I knew something was wrong. I felt it. But instead of talking, instead of fixing things, I ran. To Mark. To anything that wasn't this mess. Both sisters were crying now. Different tears. Different regrets. I took a long breath. I can't keep standing in the middle of this war between you two. I'm not choosing sides. I'm choosing peace. Arya covered her face. Jenna's shoulders collapsed. I need space, I said softly. From both of you. To think. To heal. And for the first time in months, I chose myself. Not the marriage. Not the temptation. Not the lies or the secrets. Just me.